If, like me, you've ever wondered what it would look like to travel through Cuba, I can assure you that in most cases it looks very glamorous. This is a common way of getting from one city to another here, and it's called a colectivo. Since most of the cars in Cuba are retro cars, chances are you will be traveling in a similar way, which is an experience in itself. Today I'm heading to Trinidad, a beautifully preserved colonial town known for its cobblestone streets, pastel-colored houses, and charming plazas. By the way, this is my suitcase. It didn't fit inside the car as there were other people sitting in the back, so we had to tie it to the rooftop. I specifically chose this one for the trip because I was traveling for a month and a half across 3 countries, and I knew it had to be something modest that I wouldn't have to worry about when taking buses and so on. Initially, my plan was to visit Cienfuegos first, but due to power shortages across the country, I realized that visiting one city would be enough this time, so I chose to go all the way to Trinidad instead. I simply couldn't miss this city. When I saw pictures of it, I immediately fell in love. However, I have to mention that there was no electricity in town during some hours of the day and night. Even though my Airbnb had a generator, it didn't seem to help much. Also, many properties claim to have Wi-Fi, but it often doesn't work. That is something to keep in mind. So I had to find ways to keep myself entertained, and I mostly spent my time wandering the colorful streets of this colonial town. Some of you guys asked me about the food situation, and I can tell you it was alright. Yes, you won't find much in the supermarkets, but if you go to restaurants, they will always have something available. There are local markets everywhere where they sell fruits and vegetables that are in season, which makes the whole food situation so much better. As for me being plant-based, it was completely fine as I always found fresh produce at the markets.
I just bought some pineapple from here and avocado.
Good rainy morning. I love rain. I find it so comforting and calming to my nerves. It always feels like it washes away any sadness or unsettledness and gives us a chance to slow down. This was my Airbnb. I stayed in an old colonial house not far from the main Plaza Mayor, Trinidad Central Square, and I really liked it. The owner told me that even though they made some renovations, they kept certain parts of the building intact, like this wall for example, which is more than 500 years old. Usually when I arrive in a new place, I like to spend the first day wandering the streets, popping into museums, and familiarizing myself with the area. Yesterday on my walk around town, I saw this bell tower and I thought I should definitely go there first thing in the morning to see the city from above. And it was honestly a great idea. This landmark is called Iglesia y Convento de San Francisco de Asís. It was built in the early 19th century and originally served as a Franciscan convent. Over time, it had various functions, including a church and a prison, before parts of the structure fell into ruin. The remaining part of the convent now houses the Museum of the Fight Against Bandits, which documents the revolutionary struggles in Cuba during 1960s. I loved how from here you can see the charming terracotta rooftops of Trinidad, surrounded by green hills, and you can also get glimpses of the Caribbean Sea to the south. It was so quiet on the streets of Trinidad that at times it didn't feel real. I can hardly remember any town I've ever visited being this quiet. I didn't see many tourists or many people in general, and I will be honest with you, it freaked me out a bit at first, until I got more familiar with the place and started to feel comfortable. Safety-wise, as a solo female traveler, I felt very safe. It took me a while to feel this way. I have no idea why, but in my mind, I didn't imagine Cuba would be as safe as it is. Bear in mind, I am speaking from my own experience, but on my journey through Cuba, I only met kind, warm, and generous souls. It was lunchtime and I was lucky to stumble upon an Italian restaurant where the owner kindly prepared a vegetarian version of gnocchi for me. And it was out of this world, I'm telling you.
For such beautiful lady, we did a beautiful plate.
Thank you so
Irina.
much.
It was a pleasure to attend you, really.
Thank you so much, Bruno.
Oh, sole mio, thank you, belle idee. Oh, sole mio, sta in fronte a te, sta in fronte a te.
Guys, if you come to Trinidad, go visit Bruno and say hi from me. Plus, the food there is so good, you won't regret it. After lunch, I continued my walk around town, taking pictures of local life and getting inspired by all the color combinations I kept seeing around me. I had to pinch myself to make sure I wasn't dreaming. All of this felt like stepping back in time. This city has a sense of nostalgia, almost like being in the past. And that's what makes it so charming, at least for me, unlike super modern cities. This was the day I hired a car to go to the Valley of the Sugar Mills. I had the kindest driver ever. His name is Alfredo and now he's taking me to Valle de los Ingenios, a series of 3 interconnected valleys near Trinidad. In the 18th and 19th centuries, this area was a booming center for sugar production, with over 50 sugar mills. Today, it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, recognized for its historical importance. The wealth generated from these plantations played a significant role in the development of Trinidad, helping fund the growth of the city and contributing to its stunning colonial buildings and churches. The valleys are dotted with the remnants of sugar mills, which were powered first by enslaved labor, and later by wage workers. The most famous mill, Manaka Isnaga, has a tower that was used to watch over the enslaved people working in the fields. We are going to head there in a bit. You know guys, I intentionally did not stabilize this footage from the car because I wanted you to feel it with me. What an experience it was! And here we arrived to one of the historical sites located in the Valle. The San Isidro sugar mill was a prominent distillery within the Valle, and the site showcases the remnants of the once thriving sugar industry, where enslaved people were used to produce sugar, rum, and other products for export. Just like other sugar mills in the area, it reflects the wealth generated from sugar production and the harsh realities of slavery during that era. Although much of the mill is now in ruins, this site offers a glimpse into the industrial and economic history of the region.
¿Quieres darle tú? ¿Quieres darle?
No, no.
Yo te firmo,
No,
dale.
está bien.
Ah, bueno.
I was getting really thirsty, so I opted for a sugarcane juice before proceeding to the next destination. And while I was waiting for it to be made, the rain started pouring. The weather here changes in a blink of an eye. It's unbelievable. This is the tower I was talking about. It stands 44 meters tall and offers panoramic views of the valley. It is one of the most iconic landmarks in the area and a symbol of both the wealth generated by sugar industry and the harsh reality of slavery in Cuba during that time. As you can probably guess, it served as a watchtower to oversee the enslaved workers who toiled in the surrounding sugarcane fields. It also helped guard against fires or other dangers that could threaten the plantation. The bell was used to signal the beginning and the end of the workday for the enslaved laborers. As the weather was getting better within literally minutes, I decided to go and see the local beach. Playa Ancón is a public beach and I found it to be less crowded than Varadero, offering a more relaxed and laid-back atmosphere. It is considered one of the best beaches on Cuba's southern coast, known for its powdery white sand and crystal clear turquoise waters. After a day of exploring, I really needed a quiet place to sit and be with myself for a moment. At the same time, I wanted to enjoy this beautiful beach, so I asked Alfredo to take me to somewhere peaceful but with the same view. And he did. He found the perfect spot for me. Now when I'm editing these videos, it feels like I'm getting another chance to relive these experiences, to process them and to share them with you. That's why I love making these videos. It's become a kind of practice for me. It's like a visual diary of my life. And guess where I went for dinner that day? Of course, to Bruno's place. This time I had tomato bruschettas, and then I simply couldn't resist having that gnocchi dish again. Remember I mentioned Varadero? Well, I went there for a day just to see what it's like. This Chevrolet Suburban was a minibus that took me there. Looks so cool. So yeah, let's be honest, the beaches in Varadero are out of this world. On this trip, I didn't feel like spending days just lying on the beach, so I'm glad I opted for a day trip instead. We also visited a cave where we got to swim. The water was freezing cold, but considering the heat outside, it felt rather refreshing. As my journey through Cuba comes to an end, I am leaving with unforgettable memories of vibrant streets, stunning landscapes, and the warmth of its people. From the colorful charm of Havana to the quiet beauty of Viñales and the rich history of Trinidad, Cuba has shown me a rhythm of life unlike anywhere else. If you enjoyed coming along on this adventure, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Until next time, keep exploring, and maybe one day Cuba will call you too.